I found files to search through, but I need to clarify. Are you asking me to generate a single-style story topic line based on the themes you mentioned: betrayal, unexpected twists, litigation over money and property, specific figures? Or do you want me to craft a whole story concept including those elements? Please confirm so I can proceed accordingly. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about how my wife turned out to be the biggest cheating bitch I've ever known. The kind of betrayal that hits you like a freight train when you least expect it. Honestly, I thought we had a pretty normal life. She was a little high maintenance, sure, but I figured that was just her personality. We'd been married for 6 years, and in that time I'd always trusted her. Or at least I thought I did. It all started subtly. Little things. She'd be more distant at times, cancel plans last minute, or suddenly get busy with work. She'd lie about where she was going, who she was with. I brushed it off because she's always been good at hiding stuff, and I didn't want to believe the worst. But then, I started noticing her phone acting weird. She'd hide it, lock it whenever I got close, or start deleting messages. She'd come home late more often, smelling like perfume I didn't recognize, and I'd catch her in little lies about her whereabouts. What really set off alarm bells was the way she started acting about money. She's always been a spender: shopping sprees, spa days, expensive dinners, stuff I thought we could handle. But suddenly, she was withdrawing large sums from our joint account, claiming she needed business expenses or gifts for her friends. She'd get defensive if I asked questions, telling me I was paranoid, that she was faithful, that I was imagining things. But I was. I could feel it in my gut that something was off. And the more I looked, the more I found. One night, I decided to go through her emails and texts. I'd never been the snooping type, but I couldn't shake this feeling that I was missing something. That's when I found it: the messages. They weren't explicit at first, just flirtatious stuff, compliments and late-night texts. But then I saw the pictures. Not of her, but of a guy named Jake, her I later found out kissing her cheek, holding her hand. There were dates, times, and even a few photos of them sleeping together in some hotel room. I couldn't believe my eyes. My stomach dropped. My heart felt like it was pounding out of my chest. I sat there stunned, staring at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. All those nights she said she was working late or at yoga, she was with him. I felt a mixture of rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. How could she lie to my face for months? How could she betray everything we built? I didn't sleep that night, just stared at the evidence, trying to figure out what I was going to do. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew this was going to blow everything apart. I just didn't know how bad it would get. I waited until the next morning, trying to keep my head clear, but honestly, I felt like a volcano ready to erupt. I had all these questions swirling in my mind. How long has this been going on? Was I blind to it? Did she ever really love me? I kept thinking about all the times she told me she was tired from work, or that she was out with friends, and now I knew she was with Jake. It was like a punch in the gut every time I remembered her smiling at me, pretending everything was fine. I decided I couldn't just sit on this information. I needed to confront her, but I didn't want to do it in anger. I wanted to do it smart. So I waited until she came home from her yoga class, which I knew was a lie because I'd seen the messages. She walked in looking fresh and innocent, as if she hadn't just been with some guy. I didn't say a word at first. I just watched her, feeling the rage simmering beneath the surface. Finally, I asked her straight up, "Who the hell is Jake? Tell me the truth." Her face froze for a moment, then she started with the usual bullshit. "It's nothing, I swear, just you're overreacting." I cut her off. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. I saw the pictures. How long has this been going on?" Her eyes flickered for a second, then she looked away, trying to pretend she was innocent. "It's just sex, okay? It doesn't mean anything. We're just friends, and it's not what you think." Her voice was a mix of defiance and guilt, but I knew better. She was lying. That moment was like a switch flipping inside me. I'd always tried to believe she was faithful, that I was overthinking things, but now I saw the truth. She had been cheating on me for months, hiding it behind a facade of normalcy. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. I asked her to leave that night, told her I didn't want to see her face again until she decided what she really wanted. She argued, of course, saying I was overreacting, calling me paranoid, accusing me of being jealous. But I didn't care. I knew I had to get out of that toxic situation before I lost my mind. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything, every little sign I'd ignored, every time she lied. I was angry at her but also at myself for not seeing it sooner. How blind could I be? I started thinking about what to do next, how to handle the money, the house, the assets. I knew she'd try to pull some stunt to keep control of everything. That's when I decided I'd fight back. I wasn't just going to let her walk away with what she wanted. I had to come up with a plan, a way to get revenge for all the lies and betrayals. But I also knew I had to be careful. She was manipulative and I couldn't let her spin her way out of this. The game was on now, and I was ready to play dirty if I had to. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I threw myself into gathering evidence, making sure I had everything documented, bank statements, emails, text messages, anything that could prove her infidelity if it came to a legal battle, or just to give me the leverage I needed. I also started to pay closer attention to her financial habits. Was always a spender, but suddenly she was pulling huge sums out of our joint account, claiming she needed to buy gifts or pay bills. I knew she was hiding money somewhere, probably from her affair. I decided I had to get ahead of her, so I started consulting with a lawyer just to understand my rights and options. Meanwhile, was acting more bitchy than usual. She'd snap at me over small things, accuse me of being paranoid, and try to gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. That was her usual tactic: deny, deflect, and make me doubt my own instincts. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I'd seen enough to know she was guilty, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. I also started secretly recording some of our conversations. Nothing illegal, just enough to have proof if she tried to deny everything later. I didn't trust her one bit anymore. One day, I decided to confront her again, but this time I kept my cool. I told her I knew about Jake, about the money she'd been hiding, and about all the lies. Her face turned pale for a moment, then she started to spin a new story. "You don't understand," she said, voice trembling. "It's not what you think. Jake is just a friend. I swear I'm done with him now. It's over. Please don't do anything stupid." She looked desperate, like she was trying to manipulate me into backing down, but I wasn't buying it anymore. That confrontation was a turning point. I realized I had to be smarter, more calculated. If I wanted revenge, I had to do it right. No rash moves, no emotional outbursts. I started researching ways to protect myself legally, to split the assets fairly, and to make sure she couldn't screw me over. I also decided I'd keep my options open, whether to fight for the marriage or to walk away. Deep down, I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, but I wasn't ready to give up everything just yet. I needed to plan my next move carefully. Meanwhile, she kept up her act, pretending to be the victim. She'd cry, say she was sorry, try to make me feel guilty for breaking up the family. But I saw right through her. She's always been good at lying, but I'd caught her in enough lies now to know she was a master manipulator. I started to think about how I could turn this to my advantage, not just to get revenge, but to come out of this with some control. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me. Not after what she'd done. I was ready to fight dirty if I had to, but I also knew I had to stay calm and keep my head clear. This was just the beginning of a long game, and I was determined to win it. The next few weeks were a constant battle of nerves. I kept collecting evidence, hiding some of my own financial documents, and making sure I had a solid plan. Of course, kept up her act, acting innocent, pretending she didn't know what I was talking about, even throwing in tears and apologies that sounded fake as hell. She played the victim perfectly, trying to guilt me into forgiving her, but I wasn't falling for that anymore. I saw right through her manipulative bullshit. One night, I decided to hit her where it hurt. I had uncovered her secret stash of money, cash she'd hidden away, probably from the affair or just her reckless spending. I found it in a hidden drawer in her closet, tucked behind some old clothes. It was enough to cover legal fees, maybe even give me some leverage in negotiations. I took pictures, printed out bank statements, and made copies of everything. I knew this would be useful later, especially if she tried to pull a fast one during the divorce or settlement. Meanwhile, I started to think about what I really wanted. Part of me wanted revenge, plain and simple. I wanted her to feel the pain she'd caused me, to see her lose everything just like she almost made me lose my mind. But another part of me knew I had to be smart. If I went too far, she could spin it, accuse me of abuse or manipulation, and take everything I had. So I decided I'd play it cool, but I'd also prepare for the worst. I was ready to fight for my rights, financially, emotionally, legally. One day she slipped up. I was going through some papers in my home office, and I found a receipt for a hotel stay paid for in cash under her name with Jake's number on it. That was the smoking gun I needed. I confronted her again, calmly this time, and laid everything out. Her face lost all its color. She tried to deny it at first, but I had the evidence and I let her know it. That's when she finally broke down. A little, saying she was sorry, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that she was just lonely. Yeah, right, I didn't buy it. She'd been lying so much I knew better than to believe her tears now. I realized I had her cornered. The truth was out and she had no choice but to face the consequences. But I didn't want to just walk away and let her get away with it. No, I wanted her to feel the pain of her betrayal, how she destroyed what we had. I started making plans to go after everything she tried to hide, to get her to pay for the damage she caused. I was furious, but I knew I had to stay composed. If I let her see how angry I was, she'd try to manipulate me even more. The game was on, and I was ready to play it all the way through, no matter what it took. After I had all the evidence I needed, I knew I couldn't keep this quiet much longer. Was still acting like the innocent victim, but I saw through her. She was trying to manipulate the situation, as always, throwing around tears and "it's not what it looks like" excuses. I was done listening to her lies. I'd made up my mind. I was going to fight back, not just emotionally but financially and legally. I wanted her to pay for what she did, and I was going to make sure she never pulled this stunt again. I scheduled a consultation with a lawyer who specialized in divorce and asset division. The first thing I did was gather every piece of evidence, screenshots, bank statements, hidden cash, receipts, anything that proved her guilt. I told the lawyer everything, from her affair with Jake to her secret spending sprees and the hidden money. I wanted to be prepared for whatever she threw at me. I also started putting together a detailed account of our shared assets, the house, investments, savings, and how much she'd already tried to hide or manipulate. Meanwhile, kept trying to guilt-trip me, saying she loved me, that she was sorry, that she'd change. It was all bullshit. I knew better now. She'd lied so much I couldn't trust a word she said. I kept my cool, but inside I was boiling. I wanted her to feel how much she'd hurt me, not just emotionally, but in every way possible. I decided I'd use her own lies and manipulations against her, turning her game on her. One evening, I confronted her again, this time with the lawyer's advice in mind. I told her I knew everything about Jake, the money, the hotel, everything. Her face twisted and she tried to deny it, but I cut her off. I showed her the receipts, the photos, the bank statements. Her excuse was that it was just sex, that she was bored, that she never meant for it to get this far. I didn't care about her excuses anymore. I told her I was done being naive. She had betrayed me, our marriage, everything we built. I told her she needed to leave and I was going to move forward with divorce proceedings. I was done playing her game. After she left that night, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. I knew I was doing the right thing. She destroyed our marriage, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I started planning how to protect my assets, how to ensure I got what I deserved in the settlement. I also realized I had to rebuild myself emotionally, but I knew it was going to be a long road. For now, I was just glad I had finally uncovered the truth and was taking control of my life again. I'd been betrayed, yes, but I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. The months that followed were a whirlwind of legal battles, emotional exhaustion, and finally, a sense of clarity. Once I had all my evidence in order, I filed for divorce. Fought hard, of course, trying to spin her lies, claiming she was sorry, begging me to reconsider. But I'd seen her true colors and I wasn't about to let her manipulate her way back into my life. The divorce was messy, but surprisingly, the legal process was smoother than I'd expected. I had everything documented: her affair, her secret cash stash, the hidden hotel receipts, and it all worked in my favor. During the proceedings, I managed to get a fair division of assets, including the house, her savings, and some of her investments. I made sure she didn't get away with hiding anything this time. Watching her try to fight me on every little thing was almost satisfying. I knew she was feeling the sting of losing control, losing the life she'd so carefully manipulated to get what she wanted. In the end, I walked away with what was fair, and more importantly, I was free from her lies. The aftermath was a strange mix of relief and bitterness. I felt betrayed and hurt, no doubt about it, but I also felt stronger. I learned a lot about trust, manipulation, and the importance of paying attention to the signs. I realized I'd been blind for too long, but I also learned how to stand up for myself when it mattered most. I've started rebuilding my life, focusing on myself, my career, and finding new ways to be happy without someone who was never truly honest with me. Looking back, I'd tell anyone in a similar situation: trust your instincts, gather your proof, and don't let anyone gaslight you into doubt. If you're being betrayed, don't stay silent. Fight for your dignity, your assets, and your peace of mind. People like don't change. They only get better at hiding their true nature until it's too late. But you don't have to be a victim. Stand up. Fight back and take control of your life again. That's what I learned through all this. Sometimes, the biggest act of revenge is simply reclaiming yourself and walking away stronger.